The Red Sox top three prospects are starting to heat up in a really big way. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and again, I apologize for the audio and video quality of the last couple of recaps. I was away on vacation, so things couldn't be quite as good as they are here, but we are back in the studio, and the weather in New England is starting to get real warm, specifically in Portland, Maine, where the Red Sox top three prospects are really starting to heat up at the plate to the point where they're not only turning heads in Red Sox Nation, but they're turning heads on a national level, specifically with MLB Pipeline's latest update. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break this down. We're going to talk about what the top three prospects in the Red Sox farm system have been able to do over the month of May, what it means, how it's impact their prospect rating, and what it could possibly mean for their road to Major League Baseball and its impact on the Boston Red Sox. But before we get into that, we're back in the studio, which means we are back doing live streams. That's right, we're going to be live tonight on this channel tonight, 6:50 p.m. Eastern time, a little bit earlier than normal. We're going to be watching the Red Sox take on the Tampa Bay Rays. We're going to be talking about all the latest Red Sox news, like how historically good Jarren Duran has been and other great things like that you can only get in live stream. So if you want to head over there, talk some Sox live and in person, that is going to be tonight, 6:50 p.m. on this channel. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to start with Marcelo Mayer, who's really someone we've been covering quite a bit lately on this channel because of how well the number one prospect in the Red Sox system, according to MLB Pipeline, has been doing so far this year. In fact, just last week, we made a video about whether or not he was ready to take that next step into AAA baseball, but specifically talking about the month of May, he continues to be absolutely fantastic. In 19 games so far, the Sea Dog shortstop has a 303 average, a 340 on base percentage, and a 500 slug, which is good for a 141 WRC plus. 41% more productive than the average AA hitter. He also has 9 doubles in those 19 games this month, as well as 2 home runs. I mean, he's just flat out killing it right now at the AA level. His swing looks buttery smooth, and he is just hitting everything in sight at the moment. 9 doubles in 19 games is unbelievably impressive. That's basically a double every 2 games right now. That doesn't happen a whole lot. He is hitting the crap out of baseballs. Because of what he's been able to do so far this year, we are not only already having the conversation about whether or not he's ready for the AAA level, but MLB Pipeline has also taken notice as well. Like I mentioned, they made an update for their MLB prospect rankings just a week ago, and Marcelo Mayer moved up just outside of the top 10 to number 12, which is 3 spots higher than he started the year at number 15. Again, a ton of question marks surrounding Marcelo Mayer coming into 2024. So far, those have been silenced in a really big way, but we've talked about him a ton on this channel, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about him again, so let's talk about some of the other big 3 prospects as well, like number 2 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline, Roman Anthony, who's also heating up with the weather. The number 2 prospect got off to a bit of a slow start in AA this year. Throughout the month of April, he had just a 205 average with a 310 on base percentage and a 329 slug, which was good for just a 90 WRC plus, about 10% below AA production. He had some pop with 2 home runs in 19 games in April, but he just wasn't getting a ton of extra base hits. Only 3 doubles on top of that for a grand total of 5, while striking out a pretty ridiculous third of the time. He was striking out basically once every 3 at-bats. However, this month, he's looked completely different. So far in May, he has a 262 average with a 380 on base percentage and a 446 slug, which is good for a 139 WRC plus. Not only is that 39% more productive than the average hitter in the league, but it's also 50% more productive than he was in April. And that has a lot to do with an increase in power. He had 5 extra base hits, like I said, in the 19 games in April, but in May, he has 9 in 18 games, 7 doubles, a triple, and a home run. He's still striking out a pretty decent decent amount at 27.8%, but he is taking a lot more walks, 16.5% in May compared to 13.1% in April, which is a 3.4% increase. Now, that doesn't seem like a crazy amount, but when you take 4.1% and multiply it out over, say, 100 plate appearances, all of a sudden we're talking about 4 more walks. That's talking about more opportunities for Roman Anthony to get on base and impact more baseball games, which is a big reason why he's been able to really increase that WRC plus that we talked about. What he's been is basically significantly better in every single category at the plate so far this month. I think we were all sort of expecting him to struggle a bit at some point, as every big prospect does, especially with how young he was in AA. He was one of the youngest players in all of Major League Baseball at the AA level. He just turned 20 last week. We knew that there was going to be some growing pains as he continues to develop, but for him to be able to make these right adjustments as quickly as he possibly could was absolutely fantastic to see, right? It was struggling for 19 games, and then all of a sudden, he's back to the Roman Anthony we know and love that has been highly touted throughout Major League Baseball, and to me, that's the most impressive part of all of this. It's also something that's being recognized by Major League Baseball's pipeline again, because in the update, Roman Anthony is now in the 17th spot in the game, which is 7 spots higher than he was coming into the season, which was at number 24. Basically, with what Roman Anthony's been able to do in the month of May, kind of alone, considering how much he struggled in April, is bring himself from a top 25 prospect in Major League Baseball to a top 20 prospect in Major League Baseball, which to me, there is a significant difference there, right? I mean, obviously, anything in the top 50 is a pretty highly touted prospect, but to be a top 20 prospect in the game comes with its own advantages. So what Roman Anthony's been able to do so far this month has been entirely impressive, and I really, really love how he's been able to adjust his approach and his ability to impact the game based on his struggles so far in AA. To me, just all around impressive month from Roman Anthony. And finally, of course, it wouldn't be the Red Sox big three without talking about the Red Sox number 3 prospect, Kyle Teel, who may have had the biggest turnaround of all 3 of these guys, because he went from a 213 average with a 333 on base percentage and a 344 slug for a 103 WRC plus, 3% above league average production in 16 games throughout April, to a staggering .346 average with a 433 on base percentage and a 519 slug. Good for, again, not only a 175 WRC plus, about 75% above league average production in AA in 14 games in May, but also a really impressive 72% more productive at the plate than he was in April. Again, a big reason for this is because he was making harder contact and swinging and missing a whole lot less. It was 4 extra base hits in April compared to 6 doubles and a homer in May, good for 7 extra base hits throughout this month. It's also a 21.7% strikeout rate in May compared to a 27.8% strikeout rate in April, about a 6% decrease in strikeouts, which again doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it's 6% more opportunities to put the ball in play and get on base, which leads to a whole lot more production. And again, like I said, he may have seen the biggest jump in terms of prospect rankings that we have seen so far from the big 3. He went from coming into the year as the number 40 prospect in Major League Baseball, a top 50 prospect still, but a bit further away from Marcelo Mayer and Roman Anthony. Currently, with this latest update, MLB Pipeline has Kyle Teel all the way up to the number 30 prospect in baseball, not that far behind Roman Anthony and Marcelo Mayer, officially putting him as a top 30 prospect in the game. And honestly, all I see is Kyle Teel getting further up that list. What we have been able to see from Teel so far at the plate, especially in the month of May, has been a sort of resurgence of the guy that we saw when we first brought him into the Red Sox organization. The guy who's just making constant contact. He's spraying the ball all over the field. He's an incredibly tough out, and now he's adding a bit more power to his game. He already has 3 home runs this season. He already has 10 doubles this season. This is a really dangerous hitter, and you combine that with what he's been able to do at the plate, which is a cannon arm and a really great solid frame behind the dish. He's becoming a really, really exciting prospect for this Red Sox team. Not that he wasn't already a really exciting prospect, but this month of May, I feel like sort of going to propel him into the next level. So all 3 of the Red Sox big 3 players have really really sort of exploded onto the scene, to be honest with you, throughout this month. But what does that mean for the Boston Red Sox, and what does that mean for their developmental path? Obviously, for the Red Sox, this is really, really encouraging news. Again, we know that this is 1 month out of a pretty long AA season, so a lot of things can change month to month. We're already seeing it between April and May, but for the Red Sox, this has to be extremely encouraging, especially because they've staked so much of their organization's future on these guys coming up to the major league level and at some level being contributors. Now, that doesn't mean they're expecting all of these guys to be MVP caliber players, but they expect them to impact this team in a positive way to some degree. They've essentially said that, hey, we're putting everything on hold in terms of competing in Major League Baseball until we get these 3 guys up to Major League Baseball. And so for them to have this sort of month where they really sort of resurge themselves is extremely encouraging for not only this team, but this fan base as well, because that's a lot of pressure to put on these prospects. So young, they haven't even touched a Major League diamond yet. And a lot of us as fans are already expecting these guys to sort of turn this organization around, for them to rise to this occasion. Again, we're still talking about minor league baseball, so they haven't really risen fully to what we expect them to be, but to see this progression and to see them continue to perform in AA is extremely, extremely encouraging. And on top of that too, in terms of the Red Sox as a whole, it's really awesome to see these guys as highly touted prospects really being highly touted prospects in Major League Baseball, right? Now, it's not only that the Red Sox have 3 top 100 guys, it's that the Red Sox have 3 guys in the top 30 prospects in the entire sport. That's a pretty impressive thing to say. You could even say the Red Sox have 2 of the top 20 prospects in Major League Baseball right now, which again is very significant when it comes to what the potential of this team could look like over the next coming years. Now, in terms of what this does for their path towards Major League Baseball, I don't think 1 month of really solid baseball really changes that path all that much. What it does do is it allows you to keep that timeline. Most of us, and I think the Red Sox themselves, expect them to start being contributors at some point in 2025, if not earlier. Them being able to do this in the month of May allows that course to stay on track, which is probably best case scenario, right? Obviously, you'd want them to be fast tracked. You want them to perform so well that they end up moving themselves up earlier. But best case scenario here, in my opinion, is that they allow themselves to fully develop in the time frame that I think Red Sox and Red Sox fans expect out of them. Now, I don't think these guys are, because of what they've done in May, are going to be called up to AAA baseball in the next couple of weeks, but I do think we could start having the conversation about whether or not a couple of these players deserve to be in AAA by basically the end of June. I think Marcelo Mayer and Kyle Teel are getting to a point here where they are going to be considered AAA ready by the end of June. I do think Roman Anthony is going to take a little bit more time. I think there's some things that the Red Sox are going to want to really iron out before they get him up to AAA. Again, being so young, he's the youngest of the 3 of these guys. He has the time to do that, and I think the Red Sox are willing to take that, especially with sort of the timeline that they've laid out for themselves and for these prospects. But what you're really starting to see are these guys start knocking on the door of being Major League ready. Again, there's still some time here, but this is really, really encouraging stuff, and I'm super excited to see what they could do going forward throughout this season. I'm hoping we start to see them knock on the door of AAA, but that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of this? What do you think of the Red Sox big 3 prospects absolutely killing it at the plate in the month of May? Does it mean anything to you? Are you getting excited? Are you not getting excited? Are there any concerns that you have with any of these guys? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox minor league update in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just helps out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Don't forget, we are going to be live tonight on this channel, 6:50 p.m. Eastern time, watching the Rays, talking Sox. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.